Hello, everyone. Welcome to Ohm School Live. We are here with a very hot topic, and I know everybody needs it. How many times have you, even if you haven't said it, have you thought, but I can't, or, but I have to? These are the two things that I find that many of us will say when we think we have no control. So the question and the title of today's show is anyone in control? And I love this, GP. We've got Master Spiritual Teacher here with us, GP Walsh. Myself, hello. Stepping in as student co-host today, Lisa Berry. This is for so many people, this show. Is anybody in control? Because a lot of us will say those two very things, which I kept thinking about earlier, but I can't do that. I'm not in control. I already have a commitment, or I made a promise. I can't get out of it. I can't do anything about it. Or my other one, which I love, but I have to do it. I've made this promise. Now the control's out of my hand. I can't do anything. I can't change it. This is where it is. Those are the life things, GP, that I wanted to share, like open up with those stories. GP gets very wonderful and goes deeper. If you've read the email, the light letter, it really goes in such a beautiful way. GP, I would love to share this with people. So many times, you have friends or family that come to you and they're struggling because, and you can see it, you can tell, and you're looking at this person that you care about so much and you want to help them. But there are two things that they either they feel committed to or have promised to do, but now they come into conflict and you can't negotiate them. You literally feel like you don't have control. You can't choose one and stop the other. Maybe you've committed finances to go here, but then you got to have a vet bill to pay, or a vet bill. And then that's a priority, or you're afraid of something, so that's a priority or a commitment, let's say, and something shows up that you really want to do, but you don't have any control. You think you don't have any control because you're committed to this fear, this money, this other person that you love so much that you promise you'd be there for them, but then, something happens. So GP, this comes from a couple friends and people and clients in our lives. This topic comes very powerfully on a very personal and intimate level from people, and then a very global and life purpose way. So let's talk about who is in control anyways.
Well, on what level do you want me to address this? I mean, your opening story is one form of it, right?
Yes.
In the case in which we make a choice, we start heading down that path, and the consequences of changing that choice are felt as more severe, or will create more suffering than following through on it. And it's really that simple. You make a commitment to your family, and then something comes up you'd rather do. You now have to face disappointing your family, right? And the consequences of that, right? Or not doing it and the consequences of that. So you're either going to hurt them or you're going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Take your choice. It really comes down to that. You're either going to hurt them or you're going to hurt you.
And if
when
you're
it's between something I want, yes.
If you're in that situation, I feel stuck just hearing that. Like, I feel like I don't have any control.
Well, yeah. And you, in a sense, you don't, right? Right? Because I mean, control and our capacity to choose are not quite exactly the same, right? We're talking about that. This is simply, I have to make a choice between two things, neither one of which, neither way I go is actually ideal or perfect, right? Hello, welcome to life, right? This is what all of our decisions are. They're always some kind of a compromise between really the lesser of two evils, right? The striving for win-win is a nice ideal, right? But very difficult, right? And it doesn't really happen all that often, right? Somebody ends up coming out on top. Um, when you start digging in deeper, you go, well, you'd have to go looking at, well, what is the nature of those consequences, right? And why are there consequences like that?
Yeah.
Right? Right? If I do something, I let my family down, um, and what are the consequences? Why? Why are there consequences to that? Right? And now you open the whole door, the whole family dynamic, the whole relationship, right? If they're not willing to let you out of it, it's one thing. It's like, somebody's dying and and you say, sorry, can't help now. Right. I mean, you have to kind of mitigate it based on how extreme the circumstances are. But for a lot of times it's simply the displeasure or disapproval of the family. Right. Or, mom is just going to, lay the guilt trip on you again. Right. In which case it's simply a matter of your own capacity to decide that sometimes I have to do what's right for me, even when it's not right for somebody else. And that's a tough thing for us to do. That's a tough thing for us to measure up to. I don't really see that in the same sense of control. On everyday life, we do seem to have control over certain things and control over others. It's when you step back and take a look at the big picture, where we see how it's not really what we think it is, right? And in everyday life, yeah, I'm making choices and the like, but we can zoom out and find out that even free will and choice are an illusion, and control is an illusion, right? We really don't control anything, right? So in this little circumstance, it feels like I have control because I can choose this over this. All right, but why do I want this over this? What's behind that makes this important? Do I have control over that? Carl Jung made a brilliant statement. He said, I can do as I will, but I cannot will as I will.
Oh, I like that. Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to
Very
ask,
powerful.
when we do zoom out and we're not so in there, and we think the person who seems to have it all win-win, going their way, making the right choices, if we zoomed out, are they in fact in control of their life? Or see,
Yeah.
and that's where I was going to go deeper by zooming out, but I wanted to come pinpoint it, because sometimes we think, oh wow, well of course we can't control the weather, or well, some people can.
Certainly trying.
Yes. Can we, like all these things, but yes, because there's this giant, like, do we have control? Who's in control? Are we really controlling this, our will, I guess, as you say, yes? Or is it just about choices? And then we have that illusion of control. We think if we can master control on a little level, then we should be able to scale it, right? It should
Correct. Yeah.
So
yes, if I control what time I brush my teeth in the morning, I should be able to control the weather.
yes.
Makes perfect sense. Right?
There's a formula along that way.
That's right.
And so I love that you brought the choice in there. So in that sense, it's not that if we pull it back, if we don't really have control, it's not that we can choose to or not. We simply don't. But I think you have something else to say about that, because I read the light letter. We do and we don't.
Right. It appears as if we do, right? Right. But that's our belief that we've simply projected on what happens, because we cannot accept that things just happen. We just won't accept that, right? There's a fear there because now I feel out of control, right? The illusion of control makes me feel safe, right? I have some control, right? Right. Or I'm in the right political party that has control, right? Or the right religion, or whatever it is. Somehow I get a sense of control over it. But when you stand back and look, it's like, no, what drives anybody to do anything? If you look deep within there, you won't find somebody making choices. You won't find a man behind the curtain. you'll find just this incredibly complex set of events that are constantly going, that is the flow of life. And nobody's choosing it.
I like that. You won't
They're
find
not
it.
choosing it any more than they're choosing to make your hair grow. I mean, look around. 99.99999% of the stuff that's going on, we totally admit we have no control over, including our own bodies. And if we did have control of them, we'd all be dead in a minute. We couldn't keep all those balls in the air.
Very
Right?
true. I quit.
But for some reason, we think we have control over thoughts. We think we have control over each other. We start, because of this complete ignorance of the nature of life and the nature of ourselves, we assume, we project this idea of control on what in fact is just happening and believe that we really see control. It's a mirage in the desert. There's no mirage there. Desert's there. There's heat, there's wind, it feels horrible, you're sweating, you're dying of thirst. That's all there, but no mirage. Life is there, no control. And that's only a big deal because then we feel we're out of control, right? So control is an illusion in the first place, so is being out of control.
Yes. Yes.
Because you never had it in the first place, right? So everything is going exactly the way it's going because that's the way it goes. As Nisargadatta beautifully put it, everything causes everything.
Yes. So, and just to clarify there, so making a choice doesn't mean you're in control. So is that an illusion right there?
Mm-hmm.
I've made a choice, so I was in control. I said yes to it. I'm going to say this. It's my fault, or I did it in a good way. Like you could say, it's my fault. I screwed up because I made the choice, or I did it. It's beautiful. That was me.
Yeah, that was me.
So we think that, so there's a little difference there. And because I caught a little bit of Bernadette's question, I'm glad that came in. Making a choice does not mean we're in control. Can you go deeper on that?
Well, look at the process by which a choice is actually made, right? If we slow the whole thing down, right? We run the whole thing in slow motion and then run it backwards, right? To where the moment happens when the choice is made, right? Before that moment happens, you're not choosing it.
Right.
All of a sudden, a choosing thought arises. That thought becomes predominant, and then all the other thoughts start revolving around it. 3, 4, 5 thoughts later comes the thought, I did that. It always happens after the choosing thought has already arrived. The sense that I did it comes later. That's actually been studied under MRIs, and it's a biological fact. The cognizance of an action takes place milliseconds after the event does.
Yes.
It's a fact.
And not to make this so simple, I don't mean to, but I do. We don't think we're hungry, and we're already hungry, and then we think we're hungry.
Yes.
Or our bank accounts are already overdrawn, and then we go, I'm broke. Or let's go the other way.
Everything that led up to it, right? Because the hunger's there before you say I'm hungry. I mean, that's an obvious one, right? The same thing works for choosing. The choice is there before you say I chose it. Just like hunger. Just like ouch.
Right. And so in this case with control, you know what? I'd like to say we're pulling back, but it's not. It's actually just making it bigger in the sense of the world. If we think we can control like something that we don't like that's going on, it's saddening us, it's angering us, it's really creating an emotion. And we say, I can't do anything about it. I don't have any control. I think what we're misplacing that word. Maybe we think that if we could just get in there and move things around the right way, make the right choices, then our suffering would end.
Correct. Correct. And that's the nature of power.
Oh, yeah.
That's the nature of power. I'm going to make it go the way I think it should go. But the problem with power is it usually tends to favor the ones who have it. And not the and rarely is it for the benefit of all. Almost never.
So to not have power, to not be the one making all the, so it's not that we're trying to say, don't be the one to make choices. We have to make choices. We're human. We live. We have to make choices.
Choices are happening like everything else. Nobody's making them. They're happening. And yes, they're going to continue to happen. And the experiences is if I am making them. But that's to be recognized that on a practical level, we can say I chose that. But on an existential level, we look at it and realize that's an illusion. I didn't.
Okay.
That this is all a matter of functioning and conditioning and programming and just the rhythm of life as it's moving. Okay. And of course, that's the way out of it. But we'll save that for later.
Okay. Well, hopefully this doesn't take us there because I'm going to ask this. There are so many books and programs being offered, classes, how to control mind control, how to control your weight, how to control anything. Like, why are some people just like, I want to teach somebody else how to control it? And why are we so drawn to that then? If it's,
well, we're drawn to it because being out of control makes us feel unsafe. When it boils down to it, it's the fear of death. I mean, that's what it always comes back to, right? Just that from the original sense that I am the body, that original belief that got put in that moment, fear arose. There was an other that I have to deal with. And somehow I have to get my needs met from the environment. That means I got to control it in one way or the other. Through direct aggressive power, through manipulation, through getting approval. It's all an attempt to get what you need from the environment. And they're all different means of control.
Okay. So here's a fun one. Taking it to such a human level here. So we start recognizing, wow, say you're in a situation. Anyone, please comment on this. I'd love to hear this. And we're gonna go to the comments in about 20 minutes. So yes, put them all here. This is good. Thank you, Bernadette and everybody, Karen and everybody. You're in a situation and now you're like, oh my gosh, you're suddenly realizing that you have not been powerless. You've only been making choices that you have in the past have received acceptance, safety, and you're feeling better. But now another situation has come up in your life, and you like to make that choice, but you're battling, and you're at a tie here. You're going to feel safe from both of them, but by choosing one over the other, you're not going to be accepted by the family, by the job, by this, because you went this way. When you're in that situation, if it's down to a control and choice, how do you reconcile the fact that, oh, I'm stuck here? Because how do you, if you say, okay, I'm not in control and there is no control, how do you feel safe again if now they both don't feel safe? Neither one feels good because you're...
Well, yeah. I mean, how do I live my life without an illusion? Is the question.
There you go. Yes.
I need my illusions. They're juicy. I like them.
Right. I feel safe with my illusion.
I need my illusions to feel safe. Yes. Right. Yeah. And of course, the number one illusion that starts the whole ball rolling is the belief I am the body. It's an illusion. That is an illusion. You're not. There's the experience of the body. We have all of this experience, but the underlying assumption is that I am a body in this experience. Right. Now there's a whole lot, you can look at that completely differently. That is, I'm having a dream. And the dream, although this focus of attention appears for me to be in the dream, in fact, the dream is in me. Now, that different perspective doesn't change how this appears in the slightest. any more than knowing that the sun is going, that the sun is stationary and the earth is turning, right, changes the way it appears to our senses. That's why it's an illusion, not a hallucination. It is a misperception of what is happening. That misperception is what creates the fear, the sense that I am out of control. If nobody is in control, then control becomes a moot point. There's nothing to control. So there's not being in control or out of control. It's simply a bunch of thoughts that we've adopted, and how are acting out as if they're the absolute fact. And remember, this is an existential inquiry. I don't want people going around saying, well, nothing to do, right? Don't control anything. So, oh, it's okay. It's cool, right? Because you can get really twisted, this kind of thing. In our everyday life, it appears as if we're making decisions, and people should continue to do that. I'm hungry. I think I'll have the tofu salad, right? And every day it's like, who's having the tofu salad? Am I really wanting the tofu? I mean, please. You can drive yourself crazy, and I've seen people do this kind of non-dual inquiry and go there, right? There's even people who refuse to. They always refer to themselves by their name, right? Because they want to disidentify with the false sense of self. It's nuts.
Yes. You know what's really funny about that? But just that's a thing. That's such an interesting thing you brought up. When I was little, I should say both. When my family, kids in the family are born and stuff, nieces, nephews, all that, and I used to always refer to myself. Well, Auntie Lisa doesn't like that, and I remember one of them saying to me, "Why do you refer to yourself as Auntie Lisa? Why don't you just say I?" I was like, I have no idea why I do that. And it's funny when you said that, because you're right. I was playing a role at the time, because I'm not really around children that much or then. And I was anchoring myself into that identity. And so with asking that question, I was like, who needs to be in control right now? Auntie Lisa needs to be in control of this situation right now. So I need to state who I am, and that I am in control, because this is, yes, that's very
well. Parents do it. Parents do it to the kids too. I'll be back. Here we are. But they say, "Mommy loves you." Daddy's going to take care of you. Right? We tend to do that, and it's the way we identify. It's one of the ways in which this idea that I am the body sinks in and takes root.
I'm having an epiphany right now.
Yeah. They refer to the child by name. Audrey shouldn't do that. Bobby shouldn't do that. And it unconsciously, we are creating the very separation that's going to cause suffering for the rest of our lives.
Yes, and I just am getting now that it is that identity that is the illusion that we have. Our illusion is that the identity has the control. Oh, well, they're that status, so they have control. They are this, so they can't. Oh, I'm having a really fun connection there. So if in our lives we think we have control or don't have control over something, is it a good practice to do self-inquiry over who do we believe? Like, say we're really stuck. I'll use the exact situation because I can share this. A friend came to me and she's a grandma, and she takes care of the grandbabies and she takes care of her children, but she needs to take care of herself. And every time she goes and books a fun yoga class for herself or wants to eat really healthy, the grandbabies or the children need something, and then it's out the window for her, because her identity, who she's identified with as grandma, is the superhero, will fly in and be there, and mama will do this. And then the I guess it is, right? Is the I the one that is now feeling not safe or accepted to follow through on that choice? So that's,
well, it's a very interesting example, simply because it indicates that a certain degree of consciousness has appeared, right? See, because the remedy to this is real consciousness, because you're absolutely right. At the root of it all, that which is taking credit for making the choices is the false sense of identity. That thought pops up, I chose that, and within the human psyche, there's a belief about who that I is, right? And there's where you actually have to lay the axe to the root. This is where self-inquiry goes. It's not just the false sense of self now saying, I don't have any, I'm let go of all control. It can't, right? It has to have that, because that's the only thing that's sustaining it, is the idea that there's somebody there who has control, or somebody there who's denying control. You know, if I'm going to be spiritual, right? It's the same thing, just taking a different form. So it always comes down, as you know by now, to, well, who am I? Who is it that's actually making these choices? And what's driving them? And the more you look, the more you find that what we call choices are nothing but the action of our conditioning. And that's really it. It's the conditioning of this woman, even though something has arisen in her that wants her to be different, to treat herself differently, right? To let their children be responsible for their own damn children and leave grandma alone, right? But her identity is such that it simply won't allow that to happen, right? But now the good news is that there's an element of real freedom, right, that is beginning to bubble up, that makes her even want to take care of herself, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't even have occurred to her. So something has woken up, right? Now, at first we interpret that as, oh, I just want to be better, I want to have a greater life. And so I go off for the self-help guru and I try to improve this person, right? But what's really budding is freedom from the person. But that's not understood except in these circles where this kind of stuff is taught. It's not understood because the person, the sense of who I am, is assumed. It's not ever questioned, except in non-dual self-inquiry. It's the only place it happens.
I love that freedom from the person. That is, wow. Because when we start this question of who am I would not have normally thought freedom from the person, right? That's so interesting, because it's freedom from the persona, freedom from the identity. And who am I the answer is not going to be you're this person. You know, who am I is not leading you to, well, you're this.
Very pointing to the person. The person is going to be, oh, I'm going to get enlightened. No, sorry. The guy in the dream doesn't wake up.
Right. Yes. See, this is, I always say this. I always feel like you really do help. Well, you let me off the hook. I really feel let off the hook, because this whole control thing, it's exhausting at times.
Totally.
Yeah, because both ways. You're in control. No, I'm in control. And it is this, like, let me off here for a minute, you know? And so, but it's not an indifference. See, I'm not suddenly like, I don't care. It's not, I could care less, or no, I'm not going to be one of those people that makes choices and in control. It's not that either. It's such a unique place to be. It's a freedom, but yet still the creator. You're still, it
is the mystery of both being life and the witness of life. It's the mystery of the non-dual reality, in that we are life and we are the witness of the life simultaneously. So the creative process is happening, and it is a consequence of the nature of being. So it is not an act of will. It is not a choice, right? It is just simply the nature of being itself. So it's not something that has to be controlled. Hair just grows. I don't have to control it. Right? Being manifests as beings, as experiences, as creativity, as intelligence, as beauty, as truth. You know, it is the perfume of the flower. The flower itself cannot be perceived. The reality of your being cannot be perceived. Being itself can't be even conceived of or thought of.
Right. And if I were to go here, and I love that some comments are coming through, we're about 10 minutes, less than 10 minutes away from them. Okay, so did somebody, I'm going to say we, I don't know how to say it now, did we decide to be prior to, so me, Lisa, this thing right here, before I was here on this life, maybe a bazillion before, but this particular one, did I choose to be?
Well, did I choose to incarnate? You couldn't choose to be, because you'd have to be there to choose it.
Right. Yes. Right. Right.
So being is kind of a different animal altogether.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
You can't. Yeah. You didn't choose to be. You just are.
Right. I was just
And we try to imagine. Okay. I wasn't at some point, and I was a soul, and I was created by somebody. Right. Well, where did they come from? I mean, when you look, being, right, to be, right, doesn't have an opposite.
Right, it doesn't know.
Nothing could create being, because it would have to be first, right? So being, when you're pondering being, the I am, it's a different thing altogether. It's completely out of the context of our normal way of thinking it. So first you are, right? Okay, then I'm going to have this life. I'm going to be Lisa, and then I'm going to be, Rudolph in the next life, or whatever, right? And we think we even project the idea that somehow we've chosen this life.
Yes.
That's how attached we are to choosing, that somehow I chose my parents, I chose all these things. You have no evidence that that's true.
Or
right?
not. Yeah.
No evidence whatsoever. So why assume that you do, right? And when you look at these things in between lives and that, people say, well, you can't possibly know. I said, well, no, you can't. You can't from direct experience, right? I can't go there and come back. Even near-death experiences, they're dancing on the border, right? Right? They haven't actually transitioned, because if they would have forgotten about this. Right. So it isn't. So it isn't as people think it is. The body has stopped functioning, but consciousness has not let go of it yet. Right. And it's just decided to come back. Right. And to re-enter in it, because there's still an attachment to that sense of identity or a sense of purpose or something. I'm supposed to all those kinds of different things. And the same thing. So all you can say about after you die is, I don't know. All you can say about before you're born is, I don't remember. That's all we can really say when we only look at it from the point of view of the evidence in front of us. So what we have to do is look differently. We've never seen an atom either, yet we talk about them as real, right? We can't see one, just like we can't see death. So we look at we look at things that are happening. We look at patterns. We look at the way things behave, and from that infer the nature of what it is that is doing its little dance. I do the same thing. I look at the nature of life, how things flow, and then the nature of the consciousness that is aware of it. And I find while the events of life are constantly coming and going, that consciousness that is aware of it is absolutely the same. I cannot remember a time when the sense of knowing something, having an experience, was ever different than it is right now. The experience, yes, completely different, but the experiencing essence itself, the consciousness, no difference whatsoever. From that, I extrapolate that that's always been the case. And I think it's quite reasonable to do that, right? Yes. So obviously, my first experience was suddenly this sense of space and kind of dulled sounds, and all of a sudden one day it's like bright light and right. But I'm experiencing this. That which is experiencing it, there's absolutely no difference than right now.
Yes.
From that is where I draw my conviction that this is just a bleep. This is just a bleep, on the flat line.
Yes. And I can appreciate that. And I think that's where a lot of people, as they do mature and we get more, years under our belts, a lot of us many of us might say, wow, I know I'm this age, but wow, I still feel, 20, 30 years the way you did before. And that's what they're tuning into. Is that correct? They're just tuning into.
Exactly. They're tuning into the consciousness that is changeless, that is timeless. Right. And then we try to identify it. Well, I still feel like I'm young. Right. Because because the nature of consciousness being timeless, it is eternally youthful.
Right. So that's
it had no nativity.
And so we try to the control we're trying to take is to match how we are being to our witnessing and experience, and that is the suffering.
And therein lies the suffering. Yes, we've forgotten our being in the total absorption in the experience, and we have identified with what's going on in the experience, and not the one viewing the experience. We've identified with the content of consciousness rather than the consciousness itself.
Yes, that was beautiful.
We've forgotten, basically.
Boy, these are good ones for notes, isn't there? All right. Wow. Okay. Because this was, GP, when we're going through and, and just life, because this is why we do homeschool live, because we have life all the time. And then to come here and to discuss this in a way of non-duality, self-inquiry, consciousness, the I am, it's really interesting to pull the parts together. And I would call this, it was funny. GP and I were fiddling with some of our, mission statements or noble purpose trying to, thing. And the word, two words for me, learning and training, they have such a different meaning for me. And so when I think of what we do at Homeschool Live or when we do at Tappist Monks, which we'll talk about, it's teaching, remembering, exploring, inquiring, and then practicing. So we can't practice being. I mean, we are, so we don't have to. I feel like I'm doing a French verb class to be to our
Yeah. How do you practice being?
Right. You don't.
You don't.
But you do practice.
It is the simple fact that we overlook.
Right. And so what we are practicing is not just the inquiry. So we are practicing the inquiry, but what is it we are practicing if we are not practicing being or practicing being in control?
Say that again.
Oh, sorry. When we have a practice, like we're practicing self-inquiry, we're practicing meridian tapping, we're practicing.
Right.
We're practicing getting dropping conditioning. Is that maybe?
That's exactly what it is. You don't have to practice being, right? There's no practice that will make you what you already are, right? It's like, get up. Hey, please get up and walk over to yourself.
Right.
As Nisargadatta put it, having never left the house, you're asking for the way home, right? So it isn't that. And of course, this is what distinguishes it from all self-improvement. Because everything is attempt to improve you. Right? This is an exploration as to who are you, right? And so the practice is starting from the standpoint of, even if it's not completely clear, that okay, if I just am and I'm being, right? I can't improve on that, right? So what's the nature of this being, right? So now, discovering the nature of the being, ultimately we discover that it is consciousness, and it's self-evident, right? Because without consciousness, none of this exists, right? Consciousness is absolutely primary. Everything I have, do, think, everything is through the vehicle, the medium of consciousness. If anything deserves the sense of I, it's that, right? So now I look at what I have identified with. I look at what the conditioning is, and I now see conditioning as conditioning, not as an identity, not as who I actually am, but as conditioning. Now, the simple realization that I am consciousness, even when we feel it, we have enormously, can have very powerful insights into it. Doesn't immediately just completely wipe out all the conditioning. Never does it do that. So now the practice becomes dismantling, deconstructing the sense of identity consistently to bring your human life into alignment with the Tao, which is the way things really are. So it isn't self-improvement, it's self-discovery and harmonizing. It is the harmonizing of your life with what you actually are, which very naturally then begins to manifest itself as what we would regard as an improved life. But people seek the improved life without finding the root of the whole problem as to why it isn't. And that is the mistaken identity. You are not that. You are not who you think you are, ever.
That was so incredible and so helpful. And I hope that everybody hearing, like, the word practice was so important to me to have that come out today's show, because when I think about control, I love that you mentioned about it's not fixing something, it's removing something, having the awareness and removing it. It's like having a coat on that you think, oh, wow, I just have to patch that and fix this and move this little thing over, make it a little bigger, make it a little smaller. But it's take the coat off. Just there's so much work, like patching
so much work.
Done. You don't need that coat.
Exactly. That's exactly the case. Yes. Yeah. Buddha even made that comment once. He says, well, you can go and fix all your karma, or you can just drop it.
Yes. Yes. I love that. And that makes it so much. And so now I get that. Yeah. So I love that. Okay. So the practice and so we're not practicing to be in better control. We're not practicing to make the right decision. We're not practicing to be a better person. We are practicing knowing who we are and who we aren't, and dropping those conditionings, those programs. And as you said, I love that you said that why it takes practice, because right now I've just had a flood of like, oh, that's right. That's right. And you know what? I will still have some conditioning left over there for sure. When this camera goes off, I'll be going, there
That's
it is
right.
again.
Exactly so. Exactly so. And the process, for lack of a better word, the process of awakening, it is the gradual dissolution of all of that conditioning until the sense of I is free of the false I. It no longer identifies with the false I. And at that point, all the conditioning can still go on. The life we call Lisa will still go on, right? But it will be without this false center. It'll simply be the flow of life being witnessed by the source of life, which is the true self.
We like that. Okay. The flow of life being witnessed from the flow of life being witnessed by the source of life.
The source of life, yes.
Okay. Oh, that was beautiful. Somebody write that down. All right. And as we are like super close, I want to read these comments, but it's always tricky because I have these very, very earthly, we always said, when a spirit, meets the earth kind of thing, it's earthly spirit thing. So you've got our master spiritual teacher here, GP Walsh, helping, it's spirituality wrapped and inside of all the earthly things that I'm bringing to the table here. Because we all have our problems and our concerns, and we want to figure things out. So that's why I love when people share them with me, share your earthly and challenges or thoughts, because then I can bring them to Om School Live and have GP comment on them, and it's a really neat thing to do. So before we read some of these comments and questions, I just want to, as we've been talking of practice, I'm going to be on the same one. I'm inviting everybody again to join us at the Tappist Monks. We do this tomorrow, so every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. You can join us monthly on a monthly subscription. It's only $97, or right now, you can join something called. I know, I'm so excited. So yes, the tapping into the fearless you, and fearless has nothing to do with control or gaining control or losing control. So that's good. And it's at a new price. So $47 is what you can get the fearless. But here's the fun part: you get a whole month of the Tappist Monk for free when you purchase the tapping to the fearless you. So please go on over there and pick that up. It's $47 US. It's a whole course that you do on your own, but then bring it and practice with us every Wednesday. So that's a beautiful invitation. It's magical. It's so fearlessly freeing. So, and yeah, I think it's our third one tomorrow. So
it is. Yeah. It's just getting going.
Yeah. So don't worry, you're not late to the party, anybody. You can just come on in anytime. And you don't even have to come on camera, but you can. It will look just like this with you. And you get to work alongside with GP, and he'll take you through some meridian tapping. We love this taps.
Yes.
All right. So we've got our Blinky Boo here. Just fun to say that. I don't know how to even pronounce that one, but a bunch of fun Zeds and ligs. Yeah, that's fun. Knowing nothing, that's fun. Bernadette, hello. Jerry's and Lisa, Karen. Look at everybody here today. And Ava, hello. Hassan. Okay, so do we have some questions? So I think, Bernadette, I was trying to weave your questions in while we were there. I don't think I missed anything. I'm about to have tofu this afternoon, sprouted tofu, that is, non-GMO and organic. And then Jerry says, something I've been doing lately that has been giving me clarity is to notice my thoughts and question what they mean. They start to sound gibberish and lose their meaning. Then they're just awareness.
Yes.
Comment on that.
And you are that awareness. As you're watching thoughts, as you do that, and you begin to see that they don't have inherent meaning, right? It's not that they're meaningless. It's just they don't have an intrinsic meaning. They only have the meaning you give them. When you see that, you are now free of them, and you are free to use those thoughts in the best way possible, right? According to your highest sense of the sense of value. As you get better and better at that, the thoughts get deeper and deeper and more subtle until you finally address the one thought that is behind all of them. And that is the I thought, right? And you see that too has no absolute meaning, that it is only what you make it to be. And you find out the one making it is the only I that's ever actually existed. And you find there is just awareness. To whom is that awareness appearing? So you take it a step further to digging into the actual nature. Well, I'm still here. They have no meaning, but I'm still here. I'm aware. What's aware? Now, this is where it gets really, really deep. And again, this is not something you do lightly. This is an existential quest, right? This is not self-help, self-improvement. How do I make my life better? All of that's fine. And I encourage you to do that kind of stuff, right? But don't make that the end game, right? I'm doing stuff for our business right now. We're doing stuff, just practical steps we have to take, like selling courses, right? So I can keep the lights on and keep doing this stuff for free, right? Should I stop doing that because there's nobody doing it? It's like you're going to miss the point. You're going to miss the spirit of this, right? That the more you dig into this, without trying to lay on top of it some kind of result or thing that's going to happen, the more it will just permeate your life and bring about the kind of harmonious shifts that everybody actually wants. And it'll happen all by itself. You'll find, well, goodness, why would I even trying to control it in the first place? This is way better.
I love that about the thoughts. I'm so thankful. Thank you for bringing that up. And GP, I want to share this with everybody. And I talk a lot, I think a lot. And, since I've been doing this work, I love that, this quest, I didn't choose to, I didn't think about it. I wasn't trying to. There are so many less thoughts in my head rolling around that I can't even sometimes go on social media because I almost have nothing to think about or say about or do anymore. I used to have so many things, and I thought, and it's not that they're meaningless. They just, they don't even exist anymore. It's just an awful place to be. So I hope nobody thinks I'm trying to, escape from them. I just wasn't there. Here's some of my questions here. Knowing nothing, GP, for you, your waking experience is the same, but what about altered states of consciousness? During sleep and during meditation, I have an experience of a different quality. No?
Absolutely, as we do in dreams or plant medicine. Just don't mistake the content of consciousness for consciousness itself. That's it. Yes, of course. When you meditate, it's a different experience, and you can have some really dramatic experiences in meditation, as in dreams and the like. But just notice that the consciousness that's having it is identical in absolutely all of them. Right? And so this is where this is the trip up. We keep thinking that somehow the ultimate experience, the ultimate reality or enlightenment is some kind of an experience. It can't be, because experiences come and go. And whatever the truth is, it cannot be something that comes and goes. And so when you'll notice that the only thing that qualifies for something that does not come and go in this whole universe is consciousness, is you. Everything else does, but the consciousness that is aware of it doesn't. It's the only thing that doesn't. It's the only constant in this equation of an infinite number of variables.
I love how you highlighted the content of consciousness. Do not mistake the content of consciousness for consciousness itself. And experience is individual, personal, and its content. That is absolutely helpful for me. So thank you for asking that question. You guys are awesome.
Zigs, lig, zigs, x.
We need to know how to say that one, please.
He did that on purpose, so we couldn't, or she, so we couldn't pronounce it. So job well done. We can't.
Yes. I can actually see us running. If we run over a few minutes, and I hope you guys can see that's because I'm loving all these questions. So the question from Blinky Boo here, is anyone in control, can be answered in a, oh wait, I missed something. Wait, no, because I want to read the one before. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, where's the purpose
Zig-zag.
one?
Yeah.
I missed the purpose.
It's under the name we can't pronounce.
Oh, that was you. Okay, sorry. Oh, because that was a really good one. Yes. Is it an illusion to think we have a purpose, a destiny that needs to be fulfilled? Is there really nothing I can do to be better off than I am now? I know we talked about, but I'm going to there's a short one on that.
Yeah, we'll just kind of revisit it because it's very important. Like I said, don't take this kind of teaching as something you then have to try to apply in your life. It's an examination. Live like you've always lived. Do as you've always done. Go to improve yourself as you've always improved yourself, right? But if the kind of things I'm talking about resonate with you, just take them in and look at it, and let the inquiry make the adjustments to your life. Don't. What happens is that false sense of self, the egoic mind, gets an idea. Oh, there's no purpose. And then it tries to take life and make it conform to its new spiritual idea that there's no purpose, right? So, and then when the way that the egoic mind interprets it, if I said life doesn't have a purpose, there's this sense of emptiness, right? What do I do? What do I do now, right? That I needs to be questioned. Life doesn't have an inherent purpose. All the purpose life has is the purpose you give it. That's the meaning of it. It's not inherent in it, right? It is simply this blank slate upon which we manifest that which we are. Now, there's no purpose to your being, right? Because that would imply it at some point it had to have been created, right, to serve a purpose. And that means your purpose is in service of something else. Being is not in service of anything. It just is. You just are. And so just take these things to heart, ponder them as somebody pondering the meaning of life, right? And then live your life as an ordinary human being. And just see the impact that these things have on you. What I look for is not these grandiose shifts. What I look for is more happiness, less reactivity, things not bothering you so much, more patience, more compassion, more thoughtful decisions. That shows me, when I see that, I know that the inquiry has taken root.
I have like joyful tears inside my body right now. It's so true. You really feel all those things. It's a beautiful, like everything's okay. It's just
everything's okay.
okay.
Matter of fact, the Buddha said it very clearly. The ordinary human being is the Buddha.
Yes.
Right?
Oh.
We're only letting go of that which we never were in the first place. That which you are, you can't let go of. That's it. That's all that's happening here. In Zen, there's a beautiful saying. They say, don't seek enlightenment, just drop your opinions.
I love that. And that's what's taking up so much space in your mind. There you go. So.
It is, yeah.
Oh, okay. There's an energy question. Can we alter energy to a desired state? Oh, then we go into those desired questions. We have lots of fun shows on desire.
Yeah,
Just desire.
boy, that's a big one because yes, we can apparently manipulate our emotions, and that's really what you're talking about. The feelings that come and go, and you can see that it's there is this reaction going. The emotions are not self-acting; they're always reacting. But what we don't recognize is so is thought, right? And all of this is just part of a conditioned system. The only thing that really alters it is when you become aware that it's not you. Any attempt to fix it or alter it from within is actually itself. It is more conditioning. It is the same thing. The only thing that isn't is the real you, which perceives it as something just happening, and in that moment has no interest whatsoever in controlling it. I think it was Brown. I can't remember his first name now. He did a thing called the presence process, and he said that with enlightenment comes the power to move mountains, as Christ did. However, what also comes is the realization that it's fine right where it is.
Yes. I love that.
You stop the arguing with life, and suddenly there's no need to alter it. Yes. It's fine.
Maybe we'll do a show on that coming up, because there's something to do with, like, you're not just surrendering to give up and just go, you're not pushing and then ran out of steam and just dropping. There's a different, it's fine where it is not, I give up, I don't have the strength to move it anyways. It's not like that.
Yeah, it's not not a resignation.
Right.
You're coming back to your power. You're coming back to the place which really is the only place that has any power. Look, when you realize that the mirage is out there, it's a mirage. It doesn't quench your thirst. You still got to quench your damn thirst, right? But you're not searching. You're not looking for something to quench your thirst that isn't there. You can start looking in the right places. it's a redemption of human life. It is not a ridding ourselves of human life. The human life is the vehicle of self-expression for the infinite self.
Beautiful. I love that. Oh my goodness. This was I knew this was going to go deep and everywhere in all kinds of places. I do want to say, first of all, thank you for Barbro for mentioning about something about glad for some replays. You got this specifically is what they're referring to. If you go on GP's channel, please subscribe, become a subscriber. Then you'll know all the times that we pop up and he pops up and when he's coming on to everything and all the new videos. But there are so many replays and just things, videos up there that you can check into. You can even look up, surrendering or power or control or all these wonderful things. So just a helpful thing. Thank you for reminding me to say that. And Roberta, thank you so much. And did we get everybody? Just want to make sure before I say goodbye. I think so.
Oh, just that Roberta says it's somehow difficult to believe it. And yeah, it is. We're so used to relying on the sense of the illusion of control for a feeling of well-being and safety that it's kind of hard to let go of. So I don't ask anybody to just abandon it. I ask them to explore it, right? I can't rip away, if somebody's walking on crutches, you don't go up, you don't need those and kick them out. You say, okay, do you really need these? Right? And we start examining, we start kind of step by step, trying it out. Oh, well, maybe I don't need to rely. Maybe I don't. And it's a discovery then. It's very natural and very easy and very gentle. This isn't a beat you over the head, you're going to go to hell kind of religion.
Yes, there is still no, a lot of people think that they're still searching for the reward if I'm perfect enough, if I can get there, if I can fix myself. So
yes.
It's none of that. And we again do invite you, if you would like to do anything with us, leave a comment in there. Maybe you need direction. I know that we're slowly building a space where perhaps you might not be able to get in touch right away with GP, but we're creating a small team that we're going to make sure that's available to help you. If you have more questions, you think, well, where's the best place to ask this? Is it on Om School Live here, which is now, or is it during Satsang, or is it you would like to participate and practice with us at Tapas Monks every Wednesday? So we're going to put that out shortly. We'll be there for you guys. But in the meantime, just put them in the comments because we read them all anyways, and we can get back to you. But we so appreciate you being here with us at Om School Live. This is a good topic. And if you do have a topic suggestion or choice or request, please put it in the comments below as well. So thank you. And thank you, GP.
Thank you all. Very good.